good morning, and welcome back to the Weardale Gazette, your local newspaper with the geopolitical section run by Adrian Smith. So, today, sovereignty, patriotism, nationalism. Now, looking around the northeast of England currently, there is a distinct amount of flags, mostly St George's crosses. I've got to say, reminds me a lot of 1930s Germany, North Korea, very nationalistic sort of places that do this. So what I want to talk about is why do you think we have them and some of the things that they're not going to tell us about them. Now, the reason that they are there is predominantly because people believe they are patriots. It's interesting, if you look at patriotism, it was used by the Greeks when their empire was falling, and it's used as a way of basically rallying people to continue to within endless wars. And remember the great saying, I think it was one of the Roman philosophers or historians at the time, that says that what we do abroad, we eventually do at home. And as an empire and a failing empire, and we've been failing for a long, long time, other than working out of the city of London, we are starting to do at home what we did abroad, which is basically, subjugate people, impose on people, decide for people, and this is all done by a very small minority of oligarchs that run this country. And most of the Western world, to be fair, they're not hard to find. They're the Rothschilds, the Goldman Sachs, they're the banking fraternity, royal family are part of that, to be fair. Whether you want to believe that or not, it's entirely up to you. But a bit of insight will clearly show you. So, back to the subject. The reason that we have patriotism is because we no longer have sovereignty. And before you all start crying out, saying we are a sovereign country, well, there's many types of sovereignty, so I'm going to give you the ones where we've got no sovereignty and why they're important. We have no energy sovereignty. We don't own any of our energy system. It's all owned by foreign actors, foreign companies. Not even British. These are foreign. We have no industrial sovereignty because we have no ability in this country to manufacture on a scale that is needed to supply the population of this country with what it needs. Even base metal stuff doesn't even factor anymore. We have no water sovereignty, because once again it is owned by foreign actors who decide whether they're going to invest or not invest, whether, etc., and all that is decided outside of this country. We have no transport sovereignty because once again, it is all owned by foreign actors, companies who will decide whether they're going to invest and how they're going to invest. We have no political sovereignty, and this one's really important because we are owned, our political class is owned, manipulated, bribed or coerced for the most part by foreign states. It's very simple. You see it. We have the Friends of Israel, the Israeli lobby. They pay millions, hundreds of millions to our politicians to do their bidding. They're not the only ones. Many others do a very similar thing, but they're very noticeable by it. And that is why we won't condemn them. That's why we will continue to support them at the cost of this country. And it is at the cost of this country. When we send weapons to Israel, we're not selling them. We're basically indebting ourselves and giving it to them. And I'll tell you how that works in other podcasts as we move forward. So we have no political sovereignty. We have no industrial sovereignty. We have no energy sovereignty. And we have no food sovereignty. 50% of the food that comes into this country is brought in. We're at the whim of whatever country decides to supply us. So to think that we are a sovereign country, we do not have the ability to meet the needs of the population, the basic needs of the population of this country. It is that simple. Now, that is not by accident. That has been by design, and it has come from within my lifetime, which is over the last 50 years, predominantly through the Thatcherite, the neoconservatives, or we call them neoliberals in this country, who have basically sold your country. So we need something to replace it. We need patriotism, because patriotism costs nothing but sows division across a nation, because we do not want to start looking at the real reasons why we're in the mess we're in. Endless wars, plundered country, no sovereignty, own political class. It's very simple to see why we are here. So, where does it end? Well, generally, we just become another failed state. We went round the world, if you want to have a look at the world, and we destroyed states. We pitted people against people, minorities against minorities. We enslaved and povertied them. Can you see the pattern happening here? We took away their liberties. We made their decisions. That's it. That's what we do. That's what we've been doing as a country and most of Western Europe for the last 300 to 400 years. We are masters at it. We have the infrastructure to achieve it with MI5, MI6, deep state as they want to call it. Yeah? And all you have got is a group of people sat behind and is constantly plundering what is left. And they will just use everything in their power to carry that on, because they will protect it. They will protect their position. So, as people so-called rally around the flag, right, they're rallying because they don't have the information, because we have no information sovereignty. Everything that you receive, including probably this, is owned by maybe 3 people or 4 people in the world. They've even set up algorithms to decide what you get and how you get it. They will continue to polarize you. They will not allow you to see an expansive use of information. They will not allow facts to be questioned. That is quite obviously, if you watch the BBC doesn't factually question anything. You know, it reiterates whatever narrative that it is given, and it continues to do that. I could go on with, many examples of that, The latest one, Keir Starmer announces digital ID. No one asks, well, Mr. Starmer, why are we having it? Why are we having it now? They don't ask that. They just tell you digital ID is coming, this is what you need to work, and the reason that you need to do it is because this will stop migration and illegal workers, which is the biggest load of bollocks ever, but we won't go into that. So what you've got is, you've got no questioning, you've got no journalism. So in essence, you have no democratic right, because you cannot make any decisions, because you need the information to make them on. They don't give you the information anymore. They tell you the information, and they keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it until you believe it. So, Great Britain is no longer a sovereign country. It probably hasn't been for a long, long time. But I just want to spell out why you may want to think about, do you want nationalism, which is what we've got now, and we know where that leads? Or do you want sovereignty? But they're not going to give you your sovereignty back. You will have to take your sovereignty back. You can't take it back at the ballot box, because there is no option currently. You have got a unipolar political system. You've got Labour, who were basically the Conservatives 50 years ago. You've got the Conservatives, who were basically, well, borderline National Front 50 years ago. You have got the Reform Party, who are National Front Party today, in a sense, to all intents and purposes, but you just won't show their colours. They're all funded by foreign actors. They're all funded by the same people. Don't ever think that one is ever better than the other, right? They're all basically blackmailed by these countries because of, they don't get into power without being able to be blackmailed and controlled. Yeah, you have a news system that backs them up, and they just constantly create polarity and division. So if you want sovereignty back, you'll have to, start to have the conversation and explain to people what is important. You see, are 40,000 migrants important? Well, possibly to some greater or lesser degree. I'm not diminishing that. But I'll tell you what, not owning anything, not being able to feed your children, not being able to control your own energy, water, gas, housing, electricity, transport, defence, because we have no defence sovereignty, let me tell you that. We have to buy all of our weapons from America, which is shite, basically. Do you know what I mean? We all know this shite. They've been proven that in Iran, Ukraine, Russia's wiped them out, Iran's wiped them out in Israel. So do you want sovereignty, or do you want nationalism? Because you haven't got both. You've only got the choice between one or the other, and the people need to start making the choice. Okay, hope this helped you understand a little bit about sovereignty, nationalism, and possibly where we go. And we look forward to catching up with you on further podcasts. Thank you.